Today we're going to look at incident response and digital forensics. We'll examine the key processes and techniques that organizations use to prepare for, respond to, and recover from security incidents, including how digital evidence is handled in forensic investigations. Let's begin with incident response development. Incident response preparation starts with forming a cross-functional team known as the IR team. This team is responsible for creating an incident response plan, or IRP, and draws on existing organizational plans, policies, and procedures. Examples include using the communication plan for a stakeholder management or the retention policy for data loss prevention. The primary outcome of this preparation is the IRP, which outlines the process an organization follows to recognize, respond to, and recover from an incident. The IR team should include members from various parts of the organization and is detailed with regard to mission, authorization, and any applicable regulations like HIPAA, ISO, or IEC requirements in order to ensure compliance. After preparation comes identification, which only happens when an incident is suspected, and it acts to confirm whether or not the incident has in fact occurred. The IR team is then tasked with both creating and executing its plan, which is aimed at specifically addressing security-related incidents rather than disasters or changes. Once an incident is identified, containment strategies are employed to limit its impact. Containment is the process that follows identification to restrict the incident's spread, and it prevents an incident from affecting other network resources. The process often uses techniques like isolation, which targets a single resource by limiting or cutting its connections, or segmentation, which restricts the incident to a small group of resources. For example, isolation might involve separating a guest WLAN from an internal network. Segmentation, while similar, applies to a group, such as a segmenting server during network design in order to minimize impact. Following containment, eradication removes the incident's effects from the network. This is often done using anti-malware software to eliminate malware from an infected computer. Both containment and eradication may rely on a business continuity plan to maintain operations if a resource requires downtime, such as replacing a router. Eradication is essential before recovery can begin, as it ensures that all traces of the incident are eliminated. The processes of containment and eradication work together to first limit and then remove the incident's presence. Techniques involved in IR containment and eradication can vary depending on the point of focus in the system. For endpoints, for example, containment starts with quarantining a compromised device or dataset, isolating it to prevent further damage. Once eradicated, the endpoint can rejoin the network after security reconfiguration. Reconfiguration can involve measures such as installing security updates via patch management, updating anti-malware, configuring a host-based firewall, deploying endpoint detection and response, or using disk encryption. After a malware incident, anti-malware removes the threat, and updates are then applied across the network before reconnection. An application approved or denied list can also be useful in preventing compromised software installation. Now let's look at concepts of recovery and lessons learned. Recovery and lessons learned are the two final steps in the incident response process. These two steps occur only after eradication succeeds, as an ongoing incident would prevent a return to normal operations. Recovery involves restoring normal function, often referencing the business continuity plan, such as using server backup details for restoration. Lessons learned involves reviewing the incident to identify improvements. This process is common in project management and disaster recovery. It uses root cause analysis and can reveal needs like more frequent backups to reduce recovery time or the implementation of two-factor authentication after a password breach. Lessons learned evaluates the incident response plan's effectiveness. It pinpoints what worked and what didn't. For instance, a phishing incident might highlight the need for user training. A malware incident could indicate outdated anti-malware signatures, and an MAC spoofing incident might call for updating switchport security configuration. Next, let's look at incident response identification resources. Identifying an incident often involves software resources accessing via a command line interface, graphical user interface, or network platform. These tools are typically installed on an administrator's workstation and connect to multiple devices for efficient incident identification. Some examples include vulnerability scans to detect device weaknesses, bandwidth monitors to measure data transfer, and protocol analyzers to classify traffic. Other tools like SFlow, which samples network traffic, and IPFIX, an industry standard for IP flow collection, also aid in the identification process. Metadata, which is data that is used to describe other data, plays a key role in incident identification. It can include details like a file's creation timestamp, an email server's information, a web server's hosting data, or GPS coordinates in a mobile photo. Metadata can be used as part of an incident response. For example, it can be used by creating a timestamp to check for an unauthorized file change. It can also be used to reveal the source of phishing emails. Additionally, mobile photos can uncover a hacker's location via GPS, and web server events can expose an attacker's IP address. Now let's look at basic logs. Device log activities in text-based files can use traffic and audit logs to record network traffic events, to capture system events that can give forensic clues, to learn about an attack. Device and system logs exist for switches, routers, servers, and web logs for client requests, as well as DNS logs for resolution requests. Advanced logs provide more detail than basic logs, with more information about users, protocols, and sessions. One type of advanced log involves System Logging Protocol, also called syslog. Syslog is a network protocol that sends log entries from devices or applications to a syslog server. By doing this, it allows for a centralized log collection, since logs typically stay local on a system by default. Syslog classifies entries by severity from level 0 for emergency and usable system events to level 7 for system debugging and background update events. Network level changes aim to prevent future incidents, like blocking a malicious IP with firewall rules, for example. Some post-incident update actions might include revising firewall rules, upgrading to next-generation firewalls, updating content or URL filters, or managing certificates. For another example, a mobile device incident might prompt mobile device configuration management for better protection. Next-generation firewalls can streamline updates and changes by offering advanced features like application-level filtering. Now let's look at security orchestration, automation, and response, or SOAR. SOAR technology uses the problem-solving approach of event analysis, involving questions of who, what, when, where, why, and how. It utilizes a set of services and tools that automate cyber attack prevention and response. This automation is accomplished by unifying system integrations, defining how tasks should run, and developing an incident response plan that suits specific security needs. For example, if a malicious URL is found in an employee email and identified during a scan, an SOAR playbook can be instituted that blocks the email, alerts the employee of potential phishing attempts, and then blocks the IP address of the sender. Attack frameworks provide guidelines for specific attack types. Meter attack, for example, offers a database of attack, like privilege escalation for IR exercises. The cyber kill chain framework is part of the intelligence-driven defense model for identification and prevention of cyber intrusion activity. It outlines attack steps including reconnaissance, weaponization, exploitation, installation actions, and objectives. The diamond model of intrusion analysis is a model used to describe cyber attack incidents. It contains 4 parts: adversary, infrastructure, capability, and target. It gives analysts a comprehensive view of cyber attacks, including where the attack is originating from and what the capabilities of the attack are. Next, let's look at incident response exercises. These exercises are used to evaluate IRP effectiveness using attack frameworks. Tabletop exercises involve discussing IRP steps, while walkthrough scenarios act them out without execution. Simulations are the most effective exercises used by testing the incident response plan against a simulated incident. Failover is the action of recovering system operations. It involves testable actions in simulations and ensures uninterrupted operation using redundant systems. Using parallel processing boosts efficiency and is useful in tabletop or walkthrough scenarios. Digital forensics focuses on collecting, examining, analyzing, and reporting electronically stored or processed data for tasks like crime investigation or incident reconstruction. Sub-branches include computer forensics. Computer forensics involve examining devices, hardware, software, and cloud-associated files. Some devices may include USB drives or Wi-Fi connected devices. Network forensics moves into network traffic investigation using various applications and tools to analyze transmission packets and certificates, as well as signature details. Database forensics focuses on logs, changes, file movements, and timestamps, while cloud forensics involves looking at similar data signatures linked to the system through the cloud server or database. Digital evidence is electronic data relevant to an investigation. It can include data like a video, audio, or communication file involved in a data breach and information theft case. It's presented in forensic reports with timestamps and tags to record event times and changes. It can also include interviews with witnesses, like someone spotting unauthorized entry into a facility. Server memory data also becomes evidence if it contains intrusion-related malware. The process of digital evidence collection refers to the acquisition of relevant data, like server memory contents, while preserving integrity of the data. Forensic artifacts such as logs or timestamps become evidence if relevant, like a timestamp in a network intrusion timeline. Forensic snapshots capture system data at any given point in time. This includes artifacts like malware or file changes after an incident. Now let's look at chain of custody and provenance. Chain of custody tracks evidence handling using the principal questions of who, when, and why to ensure integrity and court admissibility. Proper handling procedures require updates for actions like transporting data on a solid-state drive. Provenance involves ensuring evidence credibility by detailing data origin and history. This is important because a judge can reject collected evidence if it is not found to be pertinent to a case. Legal precedents hold preserved data for anticipated litigation, often via notifications from legal teams to employees. And this again is important for ensuring compliance and response to inquiries. Data in a live active system can be lost after a system shutdown. Volatility measures a system's likelihood of data retention without power, guiding acquisition from the most volatile. A computer's memory resides in their random access memory. RAM is a crucial component of any computer system as it allows for the computer to perform most of its system tasks like running applications actively or passively. RAM is considered volatile and it is therefore not advised to shut off a computer once the system has been compromised. Otherwise, recorded logs of the event can be lost. Strategic intelligence and counterintelligence provide insights into attackers' tactics, techniques, and procedures. This is essential for helping investigators focus on relevant data and for helping security professionals prepare for attacks. It also helps in speeding up response and recovery time after future incidents. Now let's look at on-premises versus cloud environments. On-premise investigations can benefit from direct data access control. Cloud investigations, on the other hand, depend on service level provider agreements and ensure audit transparency. Location jurisdiction affects data privacy laws, which impact collection and recording methods in order to ensure proper evidence integrity.